Good evening, friends. Welcome. Welcome. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. The weekend is upon us yet again, and certainly feels like a good time to, well, do a little drinking and a little thinking. Yeah, so come join me. Please don't feel obligated to drink at all. Bring what you got. I mean, if you don't want to drink, hard stuff, water, milk, juice, tea, whatever. The important thing is that we have a good time, and my goal is that we learn something new. So, come join me, and let's have at it. I brought the malt from Missouri that I've been drinking as of late. It pretty good. For those of you that don't know, a malt is basically a beer that has a high alcohol content, which is typically 5% or higher. I think it gives it a little bit of a sweet flavor. And maybe that's my imagination, but I certainly enjoy it, so why not? Anyway, without further ado, cheers to you. And Jesus too. Never gets old. It really doesn't. Anyway, now for the thinking part. My last show I did on the hot air balloon escape from East Germany, which is a really good video. I encourage you to watch it. But while I was doing research for that video, I stumbled across a pretty fun article, which I just wanted to share quickly with you all. It's called, basically 10 escapes from East Germany. And they're kind of fun in a sad sort of way. People had to flee their homes. It wasn't fun at all. But I just wanted to share them with you because communism is terrible, socialism is awful, and millions of people fled. They ran away. And people seem to think nowadays that socialism is by the people and for the people and great things will happen. And that's absolutely not true. And people went through desperate measures. They took desperate measures to escape it because it was so horrible. So I just wanted to share a few with you all. And yeah, we'll jump right into it. Starting with number 1, escapes from East Germany. Well, before I dive into that, just to kind of recap, after World War II, East and West Germany were split up between Russia and the United States, England and France, and then Berlin, the city, the capital, was also divvied up between, East and West. And communism controlled the East, and they built this big wall around their section to prevent people from escaping because people were leaving because it was terrible. So like I said, people did crazy things to try and get out. A lot of people died. A lot of people didn't make it. It's just how things are under communism. They shoot people. It's not good. So anyway, all right. Side note, back on track. 10 ways people escaped from East Germany, starting with number 1. Diverted a train. 4 months after the wall was first erected, a young railroad engineer in East Berlin spotted a gap in the barrier. Harry Detterling discovered a disused train track that still ran from an East Berlin suburb into West Berlin. Detterling promptly signed up to drive the train on the nearest route and plotted the last train to freedom. On December 5th, 1961, Detterling brought his family and friends on board, drained the air from the train's emergency brakes, and steamed at full throttle towards West Berlin, sending startled border guards flying. Once on the other side, one of the passengers rang West Berlin's police to inform them, "We've just escaped with a train." East Germany blocked the railway line the next day. Stole a tank. East German soldier Wolfgang Engels may have helped to build the Berlin Wall in 1961, but 2 years later, he too plotted his escape. It wasn't the best laid plan, the local recounts. On April 16, 1963, Engels stole an East German tank and smashed it into the concrete barrier, crying, "I'm getting out of here to the west. Anyone want to come along?" The vehicle failed to break through the wall. Engels got out and tried to climb over it, but got stuck on the barbed wire, and was shot twice by East German border guards. Eventually, West Germans, who had been drinking in a nearby bar, came to his aid and helped him down from the barbed wire. Engels later described to the Christian Science Monitor how he regained consciousness on the bar counter. When I turned my head and saw all the Western brands of liquor on the shelf, I knew that I had made it, he said. Playing a little GTA in real life before it was a thing, huh? I think that's my favorite one. Stealing a tank. All right, number 3. In a convertible. It was love that prompted Heinz Meixner. Yeah, we'll go with that. Meixner's daring scheme. While working in East Berlin, the Austrian fell for Margaret Thurau, but authorities denied her permission to marry him back in his home country. Meixner decided to get her and his future mother-in-law out on his own terms. He hired a convertible, removed the windshield, and let a little air out of the tires to bring the vehicle even lower to the ground. On May 5, 1963, with Thurau and her mother hiding in the back, Meixner drove the car to the border, post-dubbed Checkpoint Charlie. When Meixner reached the inspection point, he ducked and stepped on the gas, pelting right under the barrier into West Berlin. Awesome. Number 4. Swam. In 1966, 18-year-old Hartmut Richter swam for 4 hours across the Teltow Canal to elude East German border guards and reach West Berlin. Swim across or swam through? It doesn't say. No, he swam in a canal. All right. A swan attacked me, dogs were barking, and I had to wait several times and dive underwater until the coast was clear, Richter later told Agence France Presse. I had hypothermia and was exhausted when I finally made it and passed out on the shore. A few years later, Richter returned to East Germany and started smuggling out friends in the trunk of his car. More than 30 people escaped with his help. In 1976, he was caught and sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. West Germany secured his release after 4 years in jail. Number 5. On an air mattress. Ingo Bethke? Yeah. Became familiar with the banks of the River Elbe, north of Berlin, while serving as an East German border guard. When he decided to flee East Berlin in 1975, Bethke returned to the river with a friend and an air mattress. First, they had to navigate through a metal fence, over tripwire, and across the minefield, but the pair did reach the river, where they silently paddled on the mattress into West Germany. Number 6. By zipline. Ingo Bethke's family came under scrutiny by East German authorities after his defection. His brother, Holger, eventually decided to follow him and plotted an equally daring escape. Holger trained up in archery and found a tall building that overlooked West Berlin. In May 1983, he snuck into the attic and shot a wire cable over the wall using a bow and arrow. Ingo was waiting on the other side and fastened the wire to his car. With a metal pulley, Holger rode the zip line high above the wall and joined his brother in West Berlin. Number 7. In fake Soviet planes. The two brothers then hatched their most audacious plan yet in order to extricate their third brother, Egbert. They learned to fly and painted 2 ultralight planes with Soviet-style red stars. In May 1989, they were ready. They dressed in military uniforms and flew the planes clear over the wall into East Berlin, picking up a waiting Egbert and whisking him back to the west. The brothers had been separated for over a decade. I thought I'd never see my brothers again, but they came out of the sky like angels and took me to paradise, Egbert later recalled. Number 8. In a hot air balloon. I covered this one already, but why not? It's a good story. Aircraft mechanic Hans-Peter Strelzik got his inspiration for his escape from an East German TV program on the history of ballooning. Together with his friend Gunther Wetzel, he made a hot air balloon to carry both families into the West. The friends built the engine from propane cylinders, and their wives stitched together bed sheets for the balloon. After a failed first attempt, the two families finally soared over the wall on September 16, 1979, landing after 30 minutes in a blackberry bush on West German soil. Just to note, Peter and Gunther have differing accounts. So, but point is, they made a balloon and made it over, and they were better for it. All right, moving on. Number 9. On a tightrope. Trapeze artist Horst Klein was banned from performing in East Germany because of his anti-communist beliefs. So he used his tightrope skills to flee to West Berlin. I couldn't live any longer without the smell of the circus in my nostrils, Klein told newspapers at the time. In December 1962, Klein scaled an electricity pole near the Berlin Wall and, dangling high above the guard patrols, inched his way across a disused power cable. His hands numb from the cold, he fell from the rope and broke both his arms, but he had landed inside West Berlin. Number 10. Mass tunnel escape. Several hundred East Germans escaped through a secret tunnel network under the Berlin Wall. In 1962, around a dozen elderly East Germans dug their way out of Berlin through what was later dubbed the Senior Citizens Tunnel. Over 2 nights in 1964, 57 people escaped through another tunnel, which became known as Tunnel 57. It was the largest mass escape in the Berlin Wall's history. And that is that. So, as you can see, lots of people tried to escape, and they came up with all sorts of creative ways to do so. Because life was poor, it was hard, and it was terrible under socialism. The communists did terrible things. And real quick, socialism, communism. Socialism is kind of the precursor to communism, for those of you that weren't aware. First, socialism gets established. It's basically a dictatorship by the government, and then communism will happen where everything is just magically a paradise somehow. As far as how that's supposed to work or what methods, what steps we're supposed to use to achieve that, Karl Marx was vaguely lacking in those steps. He doesn't say. So oddly enough, every single time, and I mean this quite literally in every sense, every single time socialism has been implemented or even tried, people trying to say, no, it wasn't real socialism. Okay, well, even just trying results in mass deaths and mass poverty and suffering. It's horrible. I mean, if you have an ideology where just even trying it is that horrible, it ends in that much suffering, it's time to give it up, guys. It's time to leave it behind. It's not good. How many times are you going to fail before you learn? And, it was so bad, people had to escape, And I said this in the last video, but there's a bitter irony, a bitter sadness in the state that I live in, California. People are fleeing it in droves, and it seems to be the more socialist we get, the more people leave. And I'd like to think that's not an accident. There's a historical precedence for that. So, anyway, don't want to go on for too long. I just wanted to share something with you guys. And like I said, hopefully we learned something today that we didn't know yesterday. Trying to learn, grow, be better today than we were yesterday. So, and of course, enjoy a good drink. I'll link the article below. Unfortunately, that's from the HuffPost. I don't like to use leftist news sources for obvious reasons, but couldn't find any good conservative, libertarian, freedom-leaning sources, which was odd. You guys got to step up your game. But if I have to use the enemy's research to further my own goals, well, so be it. Anyway. Yeah, that's about it for tonight. I hope you all have a good night. Hope you all have a good weekend. I wish the best for you all. I'll keep you all in my thoughts and prayers. Yeah, I know, things are stressful. Things are hard. I'm feeling it. I'm sure you're feeling it, but you know, we can do this. We can do it together. Um, you know, when I was young, they always told me, if you want friends, you need to be a friend. And I took that to heart, you know, and I just see a lot of people out there that feel like they don't have any friends, or maybe they really don't have any friends. And I'd like to change that, you know, starting with myself, you know. You're not alone out there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah. Anyway, no sappy lines allowed. Yeah. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.